So polar coordinates you're probably familiar with as well, and you probably don't know that you are, but I'm going to show you how they work. Polar coordinates, we're not talking about polar bears, tell us a distance and an angle. So they're relative, they're similar to relative coordinates because you still need a starting point, but you can get a distance and an angle from where you are at. And this is the format that it goes into AutoCAD. It has an @ sign, then the distance of the line you want, then the angle sign, which is, if you look at your keyboard, it's over the comma key, so you hit shift, it's also known as the less than key, and then the angle. So let's talk a little bit about the angles. So angles are measured from the center of this, think of it like a compass, okay? The center of this out to where you're going. So here, in this particular case, the line on the left is a 130-degree angle, because if you start from the center and you line it up with the 0, then the other side goes through the 130. So let's go on a treasure hunt. So let's say you're a pirate. Yes, I know, I spent way too much time drawing a pirate. Pirate is at 1,0, because you still need a starting point. So the pirate is at 1,0, and he's got to walk 14 paces in this direction to get to the X marks the spot to get his treasure. So here's what we're looking at in that case. If you take your degrees and you line it up on this map, then you find out that the treasure is at roughly 140 degrees. So this is how you would type this into AutoCAD. In AutoCAD, after starting, of course, at 1,0, you would write in at 14, because that's the units, the distance, angle sign 140, and you would get this line. So in your next assignment, you will be making a Falcon using a series of distances and angles I have given you as a polar coordinate. So the next video will show you how that will work in AutoCAD, and you'll also be learning how to do your first dimensions. Good luck. Okay, in this assignment you're going to use polar coordinates to make the Falcon, and we're going to go down to the status bar and check some things first to make sure that they are the way we need them to be. In this case, we are going to turn on Object Snap. The grid is going to remain on, and you're going to leave on polar tracking for this one. Actually, no, you're not going to leave on polar tracking. You're going to turn that off, but you are going to turn on dynamic input over here, and I'll show you how that works. Dynamic input, all that does is make it a little bit easier for you to enter values as you go. So we're going to activate the line tool, and just to show you how this works, this is not the actual drawing of the Falcon. You'll have to refer to the handout for that. But let's start a point at, so you can see the dynamic input tool has 2 boxes right now on the screen, so I don't have to look quite so much as at my command bar. So I'm going to type in 5,5, and when I do that, it jumps between the two things here. So 5,5, enter. That gives me a 5, 5 place to start. So now you can actually see that I can get the distances and the angles. I'll show it to you up close. Distance and the angle as I move, but I can also just type them in, which is probably going to be much, much easier for you. So, because lining them up at exact units is a little bit tricky. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to type in, to start with the first one, let's do a distance of 10. So I'm going to type in 10, and then I'm going to do angle sign, and that's going to jump me over to the angle part, and I'll do 90 because it's an easy one. It should go straight up. Okay, and now let's do something fun. Let's do 11 angle sign 15. Okay, so you'll see that it will continue to go in whatever direction we say. So if I head up in this direction, okay, it depends. If you look at the way you flip this around, the angle changes. So right there is 33, but if I go down like this, that's also 33. So you really need to give it a direction that you're headed in first. You can give it like crazy ones like, let's see, let's do 4 for a distance, and I'm going to do angle sign, and then I'm going to do And that's a really small. Well, yeah. And then I can do like 315. Okay. So you can do numbers over 180, even though it looks like when you go over 180 on this, that it flips it around the other way. So there are different ways of making that happen. So let me show you really quickly how you're going to dimension for this particular project. So we haven't talked about what's over here. This is called the Properties Inspector, and we're going to use that a little bit in this one. But first we need to go to Annotations, so we're going to go over to this tool set. I'm going to click on Annotation, and there's an annotation. Underneath all the A's and all that kind of stuff, there's a whole section for dimensioning. Okay, and there's different kinds of dimensions. There's linear dimension and there's aligned dimension. I'm going to ask most of the time that you use aligned dimension and not linear. Linear will only do dimensions up and down and left and right, but aligned dimensions will do them at angles. So if you click on aligned dimension, okay, and then you will need to come down to the status bar and make sure that your object snap is still on, which is a blue thing with the square with a red dot in it. And what that will allow you to do is line up on the edge. You can see, line up on the end of this line. You click once, and then you can line up on the other end of that line and click again. And then you will, as you move around, you will see that it's dimensioned 10. Okay, and I'm going to click again to place that on the screen. The problem is that now the dimension looks the same as the line from our drawing. So what I'd like you to do is change the color of the dimension, which is pretty easy. If you click on the dimension itself with your select tool, over here in your Properties Inspector, all the way over on the right, there's a thing that says color, and it's set for by layer. But just choose a color, maybe like a green or something. That will pop out a little better, and you will see that it changed. If I hit Escape, I can see what it looks like. So there we go. So that gives me 10. And then the next one, you would continue. The only trick with doing multiple ones that overlap, let me show you, is I'm going to click on this side, and I'm going to zoom way in. You'll want to zoom way in when you do this. You can accidentally, let's see what this was an 11-inch line. But I could make it look like it was something less than that if I accidentally snapped onto the dimension line itself. Do you see how that's letting me snap onto either place? So just be careful that you're actually snapping onto the line end and not the dimension end. Okay? And again, you'll have to go up here and change your dimension color. Okay? So follow the units on the worksheet that I'm going to give you. It's inside iTunes U, and it tells you exactly what to do in the order. And you will have to dimension this, stamp it, and hand it in. Good luck.